Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
You just destroyed a building.
Bruce Willis.
Die Hard, which was released in 1988, is directed by John McTiernan and produced by Joel Silver. It is adapted from a novel that was published in 1979, written by author Roderick Thorpe, called Nothing Lasts Forever, which is a sequel to a novel published by the same author called The Detective in 1966, which was also adapted into a film starring Frank Sinatra that was released in 1968.
Hello, you little pretty little puppy dog.
Well, that's deliberate to walk all the way across the room.
And reach up and bite him.
Yeah.
He was just a little bit old to be dangling in elevator shafts.
We can go on and on about the behind the scenes stuff and the making of this film. We'll be here for a century. So let's just get down to the nitty gritty and talk about one, or you can say the greatest action film of all time. Die Hard.
When the trailer came out and went into theaters and Bruce Willis came up, the audience laughed.
The film begins with John McClane on a plane, and he lands in California.
California.
Hey! Merry Christmas!
Jesus. Fucking California.
He goes there on Christmas Eve, and apparently he doesn't like flying.
You want to know the secret to surviving air travel? After you get where you're going, take off your shoes and your socks. Then you walk around on the rug barefoot and make fists with your toes. Yes, sir. Better than a shower and a hot cup of coffee.
Okay.
I will say, I do think it is kind of a weird transition. We hear this dope, like, action-y Christmas theme at the airport. Then it cuts to this classical this party. I don't know. It's just, this is kind of odd and goofy to me. Maybe that's the point. Maybe John McTiernan, as it is documented, John McTiernan turned down the directing job of this film numerous times because he's like, well, this stuff is sad. I mean, in the book, for God's sakes, the man is old, and instead of Hans falling to his death, it's his granddaughter or something like that. So this thing is dark, and then he doesn't like doing movies about terrorists because who likes terrorists? So him doing that little choice of the little cut right there with the music and the scenes, is probably his choice.
My principal concern going into this was that it was a story that would concern terrorists. And terrorist movies are usually mean, filled with all sorts of mean, nasty acts. And I didn't say yes to this project until we figured out ways to put, in essence, some joy in it.
We are introduced to Argyle, played by Devoria White.
It's my first time driving a limo.
It's okay. It's my first time riding in one.
Argyle tries to get McClane to open up emotionally about his feelings, and John McClane is having none of that, but eventually he cracks and he spills the beans that, he's a New York City police officer or a New York City detective. His wife moved to Los Angeles for a better job, but they've been separated for about, 6 months, and he's going out here to try and reconcile with her, to get her to leave her job, to go back home with him, and it's just a big mess, and it's crazy. This is what we're getting into in the first few minutes of this film. Some man who is sad and depressed because he's lonely and he misses his wife.
It's about a 30-year-old guy who should have said he's sorry to his wife because bad stuff happens.
But it works. The emotional impact in the beginning works because we get to see the points of view of Holly and John and how they see their marriage.
So you
lady sees you, you run into each other's arms, the music comes up, and you live happily ever after, right?
I can live with that.
Is Daddy coming home with you?
Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
I'm gonna pull in the parking garage and I'll wait. You score, you give me a call on the car phone. I'll take your bags to the desk. You strike out, I'll get you a hotel.
You're all right, Argyle.
Just remember that when you sign for the tip.
John arrives at his destination hoping to have the happily ever after ending with his wife. And little did he know that the woman that he longs for changed her name back to her real name, which is Holly Gennaro. We are introduced to Holly, who is played by Bonnie Bedelia, and she is the wife of John McClane, who is played by Bruce Willis. And that's the thing I love about this film, is how it sets up the stakes right away. It doesn't feel like an action film from the beginning. This feels like some wholesome, family-hearted movie. Even though Holly and John have their differences, you can tell that they still love each other.
I guess you didn't miss my name, though, huh? Except maybe when you're signing checks.
And during all of this, Hans Gruber and his terrorist friends are planning to take over Nakatomi Plaza.
We're gonna have this conversation again. We did this in July.
We never finished this conversation in July.
I had to take it.
See, why can't y'all just kiss and make up, put your differences to the side? Why we gotta play these head games instead of making love?
So Kareem rebounds, right? Feeds Worthy on the break, over to AC, to Magic, then back to Worthy, right? Boom! 2 points.
The one terrorist that stands out to me besides the great Alan Rickman, who plays Hans Gruber, is Theo, played by Clarence Gilliard.
You didn't bring me along for my charming personality.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, man, that's what you gotta do, man. You just gotta make fists with your toes.
Yes, sir. Better than a shower and a hot cup of coffee.
Fists with your toes.
While in the middle of relaxing, John looks in his wallet, sees a picture of his kids, reminds him of his family, and then he calls Argyle on the phone and tries to explain the situation to him, but unfortunately, the power to the phones are cut. These aren't your ordinary terrorists. These are terrorists with a plan. They burst into the room, they start shooting up the ceiling. John is scared, he doesn't know what's going on, and he's barefoot because, A, I love it. It plays into the story. Make fists with your toes, and he's afraid of flying or whatever. And so now, seeing as how he has no shoes on because of, you know, what happened in the beginning, and now he's trying to relax, he has to make a run for it. So now he is going throughout the film with no shoes or socks on. It is brilliant. Having this character, John McClane, go throughout the film trying to survive just purely through sheer luck and his wits and his intelligence as a police officer, and the fact that he's doing all of this while barefoot, which makes sense, you know, and then he only has a tank top and some pants and a gun and whatever weapons he can find while he kills each terrorist one by one. I love the intensity in the action of this film. Like, shout out to the stunt performers, the stunt coordinators, the stunt directors. Shout out to Charlie Persini, who has a lot of skin in the game. He was the stunt choreographer, stunt coordinator, fight choreographer of this film, and it's intense. Like, it's raw, it's gritty, it My favorite fight scene is the scene in the stairwell before McClane goes onto the helipad to rescue the hostages. He's fighting one of the terrorists and he's yelling out all of these just crazy things to him, like, I'm gonna cook you and I'm gonna eat you.
I'm gonna eat you, I'm gonna kill you. That was me.
The acting in here is just as good as the action, because we got our main terrorist, Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman, and this is his feature film debut.
Hopes and fears, passion and suspense, even if you're in the theater, what more could you ask?
An audience?
You will be witnesses.
These aren't normal terrorists. You see, Hans Gruber is more than that.
I am interested in the $640 million in negotiable bearer bonds that you have locked in your vault.
The things that he happens to want is a lot of money.
What money? What kind of terrorists are you? Who said we were terrorists?
So he needs to break into this vault in order to get these bearer bonds. It's millions of dollars that he needs to steal from Nakatomi, played by James Sagita. And Nakatomi has the access code, but then Nakatomi won't give it up. And so Hans, not playing any games, gives him to the count of 3, blows his head off. John McClane doesn't save him, and I love how Bruce Willis plays this out in the film, where he starts talking to himself, thinking out loud.
Why the fuck didn't you stop him, John? Because then you'd be dead too, asshole.
He's trying to come up with a plan in this frantic, chaotic situation. It's just, I love how we're put into, well, not the shoes, we're put into the feet and to the muscle shirt of this character.
You're a policeman. There are rules for policemen.
Yeah. That's what my captain keeps telling me.
So he decides to elbow him in the head, and they get into this intense fight. You can clearly tell some of it is a stunt double, but whatever. John McClane rolls the terrorist down the stairs, and the terrorist breaks his neck. Now, this terrorist who's dead leads into another terrorist, which is the brother of the terrorist who broke his neck. Now, this terrorist is mad at John because he wants revenge for John killing his brother. But then this interferes with Hans Gruber's plan, because it's like there's another intense sequence in this film where John is trying to run away from these terrorists because they got machine guns and he's just one man. And then so he goes into the elevator shaft and he's using the automatic rifle to go down into the duct, or whatever you want to call it, and he's trying to maneuver his way and he's trying to reach for it and he can't reach for it, and then the gun breaks and he slips and he falls and he damn near falls to his death.
We thought we'd blown the shot and had to start over. We hadn't planned on having him fall and save himself.
I'm glad they kept that moment in, because it just makes the hero, the main character, more vulnerable. You're like, damn, man, he's human. He can die at any moment, really.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
During all of these chaotic moments, we have a brief moment to slow down, and we are introduced to a new character, Sergeant Al Powell, played by Reginald Vell Johnson, who just so happens to like Twinkies.
I thought you guys just ate donuts.
Bag it.
And when Sergeant Al Powell arrives, he doesn't take the situation seriously because he doesn't hear any noise. And I love how the editing is put together here, because you see the calmness going on downstairs as Sergeant Al Powell is doing his little investigation, while these frantic, chaotic, gunshot, gung fu fight sequences are going on upstairs.
Next time you have a chance to kill someone, don't hesitate. Thanks for the advice.
Fatality.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Now, the situation is taken seriously, but Hans Gruber, he doesn't care about that because still, everything is going according to plan.
I'm in Nakatomi Plaza. They're turning my car into Swiss cheese. I need backup assistance now! Now, goddammit, now!
And the chaos just escalates because now the police, they all show up and they shine the lights on the building and they're about to go in, and then John is like trying to hang back, but then he can't hang back because the police are being stupid.
It's panic fire. They can't see anything. They're shooting at the lights.
They're going after the lights.
So the police, they try to go in, and it's interesting, like, when you watch this film, during this moment where the police, you know, they try to go in there with their SWAT team or whatever, there are these little shots, like there's this one scene where this Richard Pryor looking dude gets caught on some plants.
I doubt that the SWAT guy hitting the rose was actually a big laugh, but the intention was to suggest to the audience that, you know, you shouldn't take all of this all that seriously.
But the police, they bring the RV in, and I love Theo in this sequence.
Oh my god, the quarterback is toast.
Have you ever blown up a floor on a real building? Well, yeah, we've done that before. A 35-story high-rise, like the Fox Plaza, and all I get is this wide-eyed look from them, like, we haven't done that.
We have to periodically run downstairs and apologize to the lawyer beneath us, saying we're about to fire machine guns. Will you excuse us?
Now, the FBI come into play, and agents Johnson and Johnson arrive.
This is Agent Johnson. No, the other one.
But yeah, you know, the FBI, they're stupid. They don't know what they're doing. They think they got this nipped in the butt in the bag. You know, they cut the power to the building. But that's what Hans Gruber wanted, you idiots!
Those bastards are probably pissing in their pants right now. Mayor's gonna have my ass. Merry Christmas.
And during all of this chaos, while all of the hostages are being held up and John McClane's trying to figure out what to do, and Argyle's trapped in their parking garage with no escape because he learned all the information too little too late.
According to official sources, the perpetrators of this strange building... Unit 5, hold your position at the main entrance.
We have Harry, who is played by Hart Bochner, who has the hots for John McClane's wife, Holly.
Show him the watch.
Later.
Well, go on, show him. What are you, embarrassed? It's just a small token of appreciation for all our hard work. It's a Rolex.
He interferes in business that doesn't concern him when he pretends that he is John McClane's friend, and he only gets himself killed. One of my favorite scenes in the film is when Hans Gruber checks on the explosives and he accidentally runs into Mr. McClane.
You're one of them. Don't kill me, please. No.
I find this absolutely hilarious because Alan Rickman, Hans Gruber, is putting on this American accent and trying to pretend to be
Clay. Bill.
And I love the directing from John McTiernan in this film. The perspective shots that we get from John McClane's point of view, like when he looks at the board with the names on it, doesn't see Bill Clay on there, and then gives Hans Gruber an unloaded gun.
Oops. No bullets. You think I'm fucking stupid, Hans?
So then, you know, Johnson and Johnson, they got their plan brewing, they get in their helicopter, and this is where our big big finale happens where the helicopters show up and the hostages are on the roof because now the bad guys, they got the access to the vault, they got the money, they're about to, blow the roof with the C4, and they're gonna, distract the FBI and kill everybody and escape. But then McClane figures this out. He goes to the roof in this frantic moment. He's shooting his machine gun in the air. The FBI thinks he's one of the terrorists. They start shooting at him. Now the terrorists are shooting at him. No one knows what's going on. So, oh my God, it's so frantic.
We shot the helicopters here all in one Sunday night. Every person within 500 feet of the line of flight had to be an employee. And we did it all in 2 hours. On a Sunday night after 6 months of preparation.
And on top of all of this chaos, like there wasn't enough already, we have Richard, the news reporter, played by William Atherton. And Richard, the news reporter, is a scumbag because once he discovered the news about what was happening at Nakatomi Plaza, he immediately went to John and Holly's residence, threatened their nanny, and interviewed their kids without permission. And this is what caused Hans Gruber to discover that Mrs. Holly Gennaro is actually Holly McClane.
What was that?
Remember that plastic explosive I told you about?
Yeah?
There you go. Is the building on fire?
No, but it's gonna need a paint job and a shitload of screen doors.
The performances from the actors, the story in here is what really holds this thing together, because at its core, it's about family, right? It's about John wanting to save the ones he loves the most, because even though there is this cat and mouse game going on between McClane and Gruber, John is constantly reflecting on his family. Even when he's talking to his new best friend, Al Pao, outside, they don't get to meet each other till the end, but as they're communicating, they're bonding through their friendship, through experiences.
I shot a kid. 13 years old. When you're a rookie, they can teach you everything about being a cop except how to live with a mistake.
And John constantly talks about his wife Holly, or his family, to Al Pao, and then they connect on a mutual level where Pao's like, hey, I got 2 kids on the way. Oh, McClane, you got kids? All right, you're gonna see your kids again, man. You hang in there. And that kind of stuff is touching, and that kind of stuff is what makes this movie wholesome, even though it is this action bloody festival. One of my favorite scenes in the entire film is the roof explosion, because I love how John McClane utilizes his environment to his advantage to keep him alive. So he uses the fire hose that's on the roof to save himself from being burnt to a crisp.
Camera rolling. And action.
You can't go around blowing up helicopters and smashing them into buildings, so you use miniatures.
He falls off of the roof, he's hanging on by a thread, he can't get through the glass, he has no shoes on, he uses his gun, he shoots through the glass, he goes through, then the freaking fire hose, the heavy end of it falls down and it's carrying him out the window, and then he's like trying to get it off before he falls to his demise. And it's just like, yes, this is one of the best sequences in the film. There are many good sequences in this film. So we reach the end, and as Theo's trying to escape in this ambulance that was never there in the back of that van in the first place, Theo gets knocked out by Argyle. All the terrorists are dead, and now the only one left is Hans Gruber. He has the final showdown.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Hans falls out of the window, but he doesn't die yet because he is holding on to Holly and the Rolex, and then McClane detaches the Rolex, and Han, in this moment, this close-up shot, Han falls to his death. Now, in the reports, it was about 40 feet high. Hans fell. He fell into some like green screen, blue screen boxes down below, and apparently the face that Alan Rickman makes while he is falling is 100% real.
I told Alan, go 3, 2, 1, go. So I told the stunt guys, let him go on 1.
I kind of checked out that it was going to be safe, and they promised me it was, but now, of course, in retrospect, I think, what else are they going to say? They won't want me to do it. But I knew it would be a good shot, so once I knew that it would be safe enough, then it was fine, and I'm not scared of heights or anything like that, so it was a thrill.
And it's over. It is happily ever after. Holly and McClane go outside and greet Sergeant Al Powell, and then out of nowhere, Al Powell makes the save, pulls out his gun, and kills the brother of the terrorist that's trying to get revenge on McClane. And now we are truly living happily ever after, because now McClane and Al Powell, they got their bromance going on. McClane is back with his wife. Merry Christmas, all is good with the world.
This is their idea of Christmas. I gotta be here for New Year's.
And this movie is very wholesome. To me, this is a Christmas movie. People want to argue and say, oh, it's not a Christmas movie. Look, the movie takes place on Christmas Eve, the night before Christmas. There's a shit ton, a lot of Christmas references in here.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
You know what the question is that I've been asking myself for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of people have been asking themselves this question. What the hell does this title mean? What the hell does Die Hard mean? I mean, you know, if you got a dirty, nasty mind, then I'm pretty sure you think you know what it means. So I had to look it up to see what it means, and apparently it's a phrase. Die Hard means to fight and resist intensely. You have a stubborn nature against overwhelming odds. So it's basically just a person put into an unwinnable situation in close proximity and really just dire circumstances. That makes sense, I guess. If you want to watch a good, wholesome Christmas movie that is filled with a lot of edge-of-your-seat, suspenseful, bloody, hardcore profanity, yippee-ki-yay, mother... Look no further than one or the greatest Christmas Hollywood action movie of all time, starring the man, the myth, the legend, the man who became a household name after this film. When they first laughed at him, he's laughing all the way to the bank. Money, it's a hit. I love Die Hard. That's all I have to say.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.